The energy to be busy this cycle, but what to be busy with? That's the question. Being self empowered, being yourself. From the 23rd on, we'll have the pressure to organize things and people. And I'm really seeing a theme of different facets of power dynamics playing out that I'll talk more about when we get to the end of the long term transit impact section. These are all pressures, qualities, and questions that this cycle of the Human Design Weather for May 20th to 26th, 2026 bring. And that's a mouthful. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Human Design Weather or Not podcast with me, Margot Fraser. This is our last of four cycles in a row with the Sun Earth in individual traits, and it's a potent one. This cycle begins on May 20th at 9:44 p.m., going until the 26th at 6:11 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Universal Time Coordinates is coming in May 21st at 3:54 a.m., going until the 27th at 12:11 a.m. Remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun Earth activations as that 70% of the conditioning field. While the individual circuitry carries a keynote of empowerment typically, it's integration gates that we're dealing with in the Saturn positions for this cycle. So it's very much about self empowerment, doing what you love for yourself and being self empowered in that way. This is also one of the three Sun Earth combinations, or technically oppositions, that creates a full channel. The Sun has moved into gate 20, the trait of the now, also called contemplation in the throat center. It's probably the most existential trait in the body graph. It's the voice of I am now. And if it's connected to gate 10, 57, or 34, like it is this cycle, it will include an expression of that connected trait. The keynote for this trait can be misunderstood because it says recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. Now, this is a mechanical gate. Only gates and traits in the splenic center, our primal awareness center, the ajna, our mental awareness center, and the solar plexus, our emotional awareness center, have awareness. It's awareness, the awareness in this gate 20 will come when connected to gate 57 in the splenic center, but it does have a built-in recognition of the now. It operates in the now, in the present, unlike the collective that's either looking into the future through logic or into the past through the abstract circuitry. It represents the expression of our individual capacity to survive. It brings the opportunity to be present to what is. It's being grounded in the Earth's position, gate 34, the trait of power in the sacral center, that motor that generates life force energy. This is the power to individuate, to be your unique self. It's the most powerful gate in the sacral center as it serves three other traits. Gate 20 in the throat center, our sun's position, gate 57 in the splenic center, and gate 10 in the G center. This is the power to survive alone. If you can't survive alone, you'll always be dependent on others, which can be quite frustrating. The sacral center is associated with the reproductive organs, and most of the genetic traits within it have a context in terms of sexuality, except for gate 34, which we refer to as asexual. It's a trait of unavailability as it's meant to be using its power for itself, for individuating, being yourself, and surviving. This is a type of power that is often displayed when someone is trying to interfere with it. So think about animals. They're splenic beings. When they meet, there may be this display of power, this puffing up, and the hair is standing on end, and the growling, and so on. But most of the time, one backs down, and there isn't any need for one to actually take action. This can help you to understand its keynote, which says power is only great when its display or use serves the common good. Most often, what comes through this trait is its display. Usually, when we're talking about the common good, it's about the collective, as the collective's concerned with the betterment of humanity as a whole. But this isn't what it means here. It's really referring to the common good that's served by you being your unique self and knowing how to survive alone. That's the opportunity that this trait provides, helping you to understand how to survive alone and providing that power to be yourself, to be self empowered. When we look at these two traits together, they connect to form a channel. So let's look at that now. A reminder that when the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their chart is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. So it has a big impact that way. And it gets amplified even more when they're in the Sun Earth position. This Sun Earth combination creates the channel of charisma, a design where thoughts must become deeds. When you see someone really absorbed in what they love, it can be very charismatic with that sacral center, which you can think of as the energy for work, being directly connected to the throat center, the manifestation center. This is all about doing. It's gate 57 in the splenic center, the trait of intuitive clarity. That's an acoustic knowing in the now that gives the awareness to this channel. But gate 57 isn't active in the transit field for most of this cycle. We get a little bit of it through a moon transit. So take a look at your own chart. If you don't have gate 57 in your design, you could end up being busy for the sake of being busy and just burning energy on things that are really not of value this cycle. Again, the keynote for this channel is a design where thoughts must become deeds. Now, the question is, whose thoughts? This is individual and is meant to be self-absorbed in what you find really satisfying. But if you don't have that gate 57, the thoughts may come from others. And if you're not really attuned to your own strategy and authority, you could end up using this energy for others and end up exhausted doing what's really not of value to you and what's not really self empowering. That's the caution that comes with this channel activation. If you have this channel in your design, and many people do, you're likely aware of how this energy is often guilted into using all that power and energy for others. Because this Sun Earth configuration creates a full channel, there's a lot of people that have it in their design. There's a lot of this frequency that's out there in the world. But again, often that power is not used in the correct way for one's self and living as a unique being. For those of you that are projectors, manifestors, or reflectors, you're going to get your sacral center activated in an amplified way, since the undefined centers always take in and amplify. So you could really find yourself running around out of this energy and it could leave you burned out. Or if you're already running low, this could be a really tiring cycle. So be gentle with yourself. Remember that theme of not knowing when enough is enough that goes with that undefined sacral, and really watch how much energy you're using and that you don't cross that line into burnout if you can. For all of us without the 57, that awareness, just maybe be a bit restrained with your energy. And again, do your best to follow your own strategy and authority. Check in with yourself during the day. How am I using my energy right now? Is this really of value? Just a little extra thing here. If you do have this channel in your design, really keep an eye on your thyroid and parathyroid glands. All that energy going to the throat can create issues if it's not being used correctly. A reminder that the individual gates and channels can also drop into melancholy. And here it's the melancholy about not being able to use your power in the now and not being able to be here now. Okay, we have a medium term channel that's going to come in and will be with us for about 3 weeks. It's going to start on May 23rd at 12:05 a.m., going until June 12th at 1:43 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC is going to come in May 23rd at 6:05 a.m., going until June 12th at 7:43 p.m. We have Neptune moving into gate 17, the trait of opinions in the ajna center, our mental awareness center. It's connecting with its electromagnetic gate 62, the trait of detail in the throat center, being activated by Jupiter. Together, they create the channel of acceptance, a design of an organizational being. This is part of the mental logic circuitry that's all about finding the patterns to carry us into the future. Acceptance of logic is here. This is a channel where the theories, the opinions of Gate 17 are coalesced, let's say, and go through a process to determine which really seems to be the one that's working. And then getting all of the facts and details in place to substantiate those opinions and be then able to articulate them clearly so that others can understand them. It's activating the ajna, the throat centers, for everyone in the world that doesn't have that already in their design. So it's going to bring a busy mind, especially for those of you that don't have the ajna center defined in your chart. And it's going to be supportive if you need to do any organizational tasks or need to get into the details and organize your facts for something that you may need to present to others. Gate 62 is really good at naming things. So if you have to name a project, a program, a thing, whatever it might be, this again could be a very supportive cycle for that. However, anytime we have a channel going to the throat, there can also be the blurting out. And in this case, the blurting out of the theories and the opinions without being invited to do so. And if you haven't gone through the full process and just blurt things out of the pressure, you could be called out for not having your details and facts in place. As well, if you're spewing out all these details that no one asked for, people can get really overwhelmed by that and just start tuning out or irritated. I didn't ask for this. All right. What's going to make this more difficult is that Neptune is activating the 17, and Neptune tends to veil things. So, really getting a handle on the theory, the opinion, the method, the pattern, and going through that conceptualizing process could be a little more difficult. And then Jupiter's expansion could really have you and others chasing a level of detail that's unnecessary, right? More and more and more detail. There's always anxiety with potential traits, and here the anxiety of being challenged is present. So that can sometimes have people making up so-called facts to justify their opinions. With any of the mental processes, they end in the throat, right? There's no action to be taken. The mind's purpose is to be what we call an outer authority, where we can share our understanding and wisdom with others. But if you try to live out your mental authority yourself, it's likely to lead to your not self being anger, frustration, bitterness, or disappointment, depending on your type. All right, we've got a few channels being created by the transit of the moon, so I'll just quickly go through these. The first one's going to come in on May 24th at 6:37 p.m., going until the 25th at 5:15 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC is coming in May 25th at 12:37 a.m., going until 11:15 a.m. We have the moon moving into gate 6, the trait of conflict and friction in the emotional solar plexus center. It's connected with its electromagnetic gate 59, the trait of sexuality in the sacral center. Together, they create the channel of mating, a design focused on reproduction. This is part of the tribal circuitry, so there's always going to be that underlying theme of mutual support that's there. This channel also brings a pressure to reproduce, literally and metaphorically. It creates a frequency that can be very penetrating and can open others to intimacy, or it can be very uncomfortable for others and close them to intimacy. You may find that you're more open or closed to intimacy yourself while this is present. This is the literal channel of mating, so it can bring a pressure for sex, or more figuratively, it can bring creative fertility. The polarities of infertility and creative infertility can be here as well. Then we have coming in May 26th at 1:42 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, That's 7:42 p.m. UTC. The moon moving into gate 57, the trait of intuitive insight in the splenic center. And its timing is going to actually bridge it into the next cycle. So for a short period of time until the cycle ends and the 34 is still there, this is going to bring awareness to that 3420 channel of charisma that we're talking about, our Sun Earth channel. So it's the voice then of, I know I'm doing now. That's what can be expressed from it. Or I'm busy doing this now. The 57 to the 34, so from the splenic center over to the sacral center, that creates the channel of power. So again, until the end of the cycle, there will be this empowerment of intuitive insights in the now. We'll also have the 57 connecting to the 20 in the throat center, creating the channel of the brainwave, a design of awareness. Since the 20s also being activated by Uranus as well as the sun, even when the cycle ends, we'll have this channel for the full transit of the moon until May 27th at 12:41 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. That's 6:41 a.m. UTC. This is, of course, another individual channel where the intuitive insights that come through an acoustic knowing in the now have access to the throat to be expressed. The expression that can flow through here is, I know now. You may get a sense through an acoustic knowing of truth and lies, what's safe, what's not, what's healthy for you, and what's not, and be able to clearly articulate that with the connection right up to the throat center. Again, something going to the throat means there could also be the blurting out of one's knowings without being invited, in which case it may be heard by the wrong people at the wrong time and just be considered weird. And that brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the outer planets and the nodes of the moon. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. So your not self mind could start to think they're part of you, even when it's something you don't have in your own design. And then when the transit moves on, that can be rather confusing to the mind. After our little bit of a lull in activity in the last cycle, we've got quite a few changes that are going on with line changes and also Neptune changing gates this cycle. Starting with the nodes in the transit field, they bring the homogenized perspective and direction that we'll see playing out in the world. This is the context that the transit field is bringing. We have the North Node in gate 55, the individual trait of abundance and spirit in the emotional center, while the South Node's in gate 59, the tribal trait of sexuality in the sacral center. Gate 55 brings a context that's about the individual spirit. Is your glass half full or half empty? It's moody. It can be very volatile. It's the most volatile of all the emotional gates with the highest highs and the lowest lows. There's an opportunity, though, to also transcend that glass half full, glass half empty perspective and to just be in the wonder that there's a glass. That's abundant. There could also be the melancholy of gate 55 that shows up that there's no passion out there. And it's an environment that can be mutative. It's an environment that's focused on individuality. It's a moody environment where people are focused on finding their own spirit or not. Gate 59 is part of the channel of mating that we just talked about as a moon transit. It's going to bring a context where one-on-one relationships are highlighted, whether intimate friendships or business partnerships. It can also bring up issues of fertility. We've already seen fertility dropping, and we know with the global cycle shift coming in 2027 that that's going to continue. These nodal gates shifted into line 5 on the night of the 19th. So just before this cycle began, for gate 55, line 5 is called growth. Its exaltation says the unusual ability in a position of power to accept advice and transform it innovatively. This gift in a position of power allows one to continue to lead rather than being perceived as being led. The emotional strength and spirit derive from positions of power. The detriment says an integrative openness that in its broad acceptance of advice maybe eventually eclipse. An emotional openness where the spirit is at risk from conditioning. Being in a position of power is very good here. And as you go up and down in your mood, people are going to put up with that in that case, right? If you're the one in power, it's because someone or others need something from you or need you for something. So it gives you kind of freedom for opening the mutative capacity that's inherent in this individual trait to be expressed and to support innovation. In the detriment, there's being social and accepting all sorts of advice in an effort to harmonize with others as a way to get access to the power. But without having real authority, you can end up using so much energy on the socialization and being then conditioned by the advice of others that there's no energy or ability left to be mutative. There's nothing new that's going to come through then. And there's nothing there, there's no energy left to even gain any power. It's too much energy trying to not get rejected and avoid any disapproval, which the fifth line of the heretic has to be able to do. For gate 59, the trait of sexuality, line 5 is called the femme fatale or Casanova. In the exaltation, it says the power to use love to break down any barrier. Given the sun's lightness, there's no negative connotation inherent in this description. The power of sexuality to attract others. Remember that the fifth line is seductive. It gets projected on and it's here to universalize. This is where our concepts of union, of love, get universalized through books and movies and so on. If you're looking for an intimate partner, just bring awareness that this activation can have all of us projecting onto each other that, ooh, that person's the one. They're the one that can break down my barriers and I can come into union with them. That's the one that loves me. Maybe, maybe not. It's all projection here. In the detriment, it says Uranus in detriment, where the negative potential of this power becomes evident. The gigolo, the adventurous, the power of sexuality expressed as sexual power. This is where seduction is used for material gain. So we have this environment where people are being seduced into intimacy for better or worse, and where sexual power is being expressed. It's an environment where we could see universalization of creative fertility or infertility. And with the 55, we'll see those who have individual power and can take advice and then innovate from that, but also those who kind of have a desperation for power and just will go along with whomever they think they need to try and get access to power. All right, moving to the outer planets now. Jupiter sitting in gate 62, the logical trait of details in the throat center. This is the voice of I think or I don't think. Its keynote says caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. It's starting this cycle in line 2 called restraint. Line 2 is always projecting out the trait, even if you're not able to actually provide it at any given time. So this trait brings the possibility to really be in your process doing detail work, or there could be restlessness and anxiety about not knowing what details are of value. Regardless, there's going to be this projection that others are doing detail work. Maybe that's true, maybe not. Similarly, it could be you projecting out. If someone asks you what you're working on, you might not be able to tell them because although it looked like you were focusing on something, you really weren't. So that could create some misunderstandings and friction. Now, on May 23rd at 9:40 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, Jupiter is going to move into line 3 called Discovery. The exaltation here says a genius for the unusual, the ability to discover valuable information in detail work and to find innovative applications for this knowledge. The unusual gift of finding and expressing valuable detail. This is really a great representation of the trial and error process that can be tough as there's lots of mistakes going on in that process. But if you take time to learn from the mistakes, you can really refine your theories and methods and really get your facts straight. In the detriment, it says the dissatisfaction with the monotony of detail work where what is missed may be of great importance and value, the expression of dissatisfaction and boredom in detail work. This comes from not wanting to look into the mistakes, usually from the not self societal pressure that says mistakes are bad, mistakes are failures. But in this line, there's an opportunity when you share a theory and someone challenges it and can show you it doesn't work. If you can keep your ego in check, you can go back to the drawing board, incorporating that new information, and you can access Jupiter's expansiveness and good fortune in the discoveries you make in the process. Now, with Jupiter activating this trait, there could be expansion as well of detail work and of the details and diving in way more deeply than is needed. So, just something to look out for there. Saturn sitting in gate 21, the tribal trait of the hunter, the huntress, and of control in the ego center. It starts the cycle in line 2 called Might is Right. It has a developmental theme here that says the legitimacy of action in response to flagrant and persistent interference. If you have to exert control over the small stuff, you're not really in control. So this is a learning theme here. You only use force when the interference is flagrant and persistent. Now, line 2 is going to project out that it's in control. It's not aware of it, it's just in its process and projecting that out. When someone sees that they're in control and interferes with them, there can be quite an extreme reaction of that line 2 to being interfered with. That can be a little shocking to the other. Saturn's a more serious and powerful energy, so it can really amp up the control here and being disciplined, but it can also amplify severe consequences to being interfered with. You may experience yourself more extreme reactions to others interfering with you or you interfering with others while this is present. On May 22nd at 1:37 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, Saturn will move into line 3 called powerlessness. It has a developmental theme that says where the just are condemned to a futile confrontation with superior forces. The exaltation for this trait says defeat as a survivable humiliation, often acceptable through the abuse of drugs and alcohol. Unless one follows one's own material path, the breaking of the ego by superiors. Now, this is actually not present in the field. Neptune hasn't been in this trait for enough years that we don't have anyone alive that's carrying that frequency in the world. So no exaltation. It is going to move in to this date and line in 2030. So we're getting there. The detriment. This is what is active. It says total withdrawal, a lack of will for the material path in order to protect the ego. This is the line of trial and error and bonds made and broken. K21 is really best working for itself and as your own boss, but that's especially true here in the third line. In the trial and error process, though, what often happens is you end up getting a corporate job where there's layers and layers of bosses, which equate to layers of control above you. So you're not directly in charge of your material life. This is what the developmental theme means when it says condemned to a futile confrontation with superior forces. This is powerlessness. You can't use your willpower effectively. If this is getting activated in your chart, there's going to be a tendency to be very irritated by anyone that you work for and where you're not fully in control of your material life. It can bring a sense of not wanting to work if you have bosses above you. And Saturn's quality of constraints can amp this up. So just be careful here that you don't do something you regret later out of the pressure of this energy. This third line is going to be with us until June 1st. All right, let's move on. Uranus is sitting in gate 20, the trait of the now and contemplation in the throat center. Same as our sun's position. It's the voice of I am now. With Uranus, it's in line 2 called the dogmatist. It has a developmental theme that says restrictive and intentionally limited understanding. Line 2s are selective. And here is where the innate awareness in the now is restrictive. It's the line of the hermit. So withdrawal is natural for it. Now, this can be a trait that's very good within specialty areas. You're not seeing everything in the now, you're seeing something very selective, something very specific. You're meant to be on a narrow path, and you can lead others who want to develop in that same specialty area as well. Neptune starting this cycle in gate 25, the individual trait of the spirit of the self, of innocence and universal love. It's in line 6 called ignorance. The sixth line in an individual trait can see the full individual circuitry and isn't going to do anything unless it knows there's a good chance that it can be mutative. There's an understanding in this line that even if you take innocent action, there's still the possibility of getting into trouble and getting punished. So why take action at all? In the polarity, there can be constant inappropriate action in times of challenges that can break the spirit. This is a trait that could allow you to look at others' actions and know whether they have a motive or if they're acting out of innocence. You just aren't going to be very good at doing that for yourself. And the veiling aspect of Neptune is going to make that even more difficult. On May 23rd at 12:05 a.m., Neptune's changing gates and going to move into gate 17, the trait of opinions, part of the logical mental circuitry in the Ajna Center. We already talked about it a little bit with the channel. This is the gate of the right eye that sees patterns in the now. It's really taking in all sorts of patterns to determine what might work best and then form from that the theories and opinions. It's going to be in line 1 called openness. The exaltation says the energy to sustain a broad spectrum of stimuli, the possibility of having many opinions. The detriment says the tendency to limit openness to aesthetically pleasing stimuli, the possibility to limit opinions to what is pleasing. So we have being open to many patterns and having many opinions, or like an art critic, only have opinions when it comes to a certain area of interest that you enjoy. The thing is that Neptune's going to make it tougher to grasp the patterns and opinions with its veiling effect. We also have it in that channel we talked about with gate 62. So the channel theme is going to dominate the design of an organizational theme. Pluto sitting in gate 41, the collective abstract trait of contraction and decrease in the root center. This is the fuel of pressure to start a new experience. And here it starts with fantasizing about all the experiences that you'd like to have. Now, those are eventually going to have to be pared down to the one that you're really wanting to have, the one you're really yearning for. It's sitting in line 4 called correction. It has a developmental theme that says successful adaptation to limitation. So this is a lifelong learning theme. There's a limitation here that this is only a fuel. But within the 4th line, there's inherent in this knowing that there's a potential to fulfill the experience if it can get its energy up to that gate 30 and through the full circuitry. In the exaltation, this is the energy for the adaptation that's needed to get that experience eventually. In the detriment, there's the expenditure of energy on maintaining relationships rather than correction. It's collective. You may want to invite others who want to have a similar experience into it, but then there's going to be compromises, and you may not go through the experience in the same way as if you had done it alone. Sometimes that can result in some frustration. Looking overall now, this is the 4th of 4 cycles in a row where we have the individual Sun-Earth activation, so still strong individual pressure. What's really standing out to me this cycle is the theme of power. It's just coming up in so many places. We have the Earth in the individual, great power, part of integration here with its theme of self-empowerment. We have the North Node in gate 55, the trait of the spirit in the emotional center, in line 5, that's about being able to innovate when you have power and trying to get access to the power if you don't have it. We have the South Node in gate 59, the tribal trait of sexuality in the sacral center, in line 5, which is all about sexual power. We have Saturn in gate 21, the trait of control in the ego center, moving into line 3, and when it does so, that's about having power over your material life, or not. In the not self world, the themes of abuses of power, desperation for power, and disempowerment are likely to be the themes. At the personal level, there's an opportunity to learn a lot about power dynamics. We're all going to be impacted by the pressure to be busy. And when step two moves into gate 17, and we have the channel of an organizational being on the 23rd, going forward from that, the pressure from the transit field then is going to be very strong for you to be busy organizing and busy with whatever other channel definition you have in your own design. So again, you've got to do some self check-ins there to really make sure that what you're being busy with is what you really should be putting your energy into. You may get a lot of not now, I'm busy responses to this cycle, or you'll be the ones giving them. And notice the self absorption the 2034 brings that could equally be as frustrating as self empowering. Remember that for any of these traits, if you don't have them in your own design, it's just pressure from the transit field. You can observe it playing out around you, you can learn from it, but whether there's actually something for you to do with it is according to your own strategy and authority. So watch that it's not running you. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you want to understand more of the basics of the body graph, what's the red and the black about, the different geometric shapes and so on, feel free to grab my free human design basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com /human design. All right. Well, if you've got things you need to get done, this could be a great cycle for you. But remember to check in with your own strategy and authority to make sure you're using the energy in a way that's aligned for you, or you could end up just being tired and burnt out. If it's correct for you, you may want to take time to allow yourself to be absorbed in what you really love without feeling guilty about it. From the 23rd, if you've got organizational tasks to do, this cycle could also be supportive. Just watch being busy to be busy. And for those of you that are non-sacral types, the exaggerated tendency to not know when enough is enough. Okay, well, have a great cycle. Be kind to one another, and may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.